Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sport show for June 13th. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric and I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. We have a phenomenal show lined up for you today. Chase, aka the Wolf of Oaklawn, host of the notorious OTB podcast. He's this week's special guest. We're going to tell you some USFL, college football futures, and MLB bets to lock in. Plus, Gino will have his horse racing bet of the day. But before we jump into all that, I would like to say thank you to the sponsor of this week's show, the Sharps betting app. If you're not using Sharps, you are really messing out as a bettor. You can post your bets, interact with fellow gamblers, post videos of why you are taking this bet, everything. It's a great betting app. If you're not using Sharps, you are messing out. If you're watching on YouTube, click the link in the description. Use promo code ETOF499. If you do not use that link, that way they know old Uncle Rico sent you. Now, let's see what our boy Gino has a cooking for us over at Louisiana Downs.
For this week's best bet, we're going to head to Saturday. I've already taken a look at the Louisiana Downs card. I play Louisiana Downs each and every day. And there's a horse I like in race number 1 right off the bat, the number 3, Lexington Diamond. I think you can get your day started off with a nice winner here. This is a filly who's raced at Churchill and at Oaklawn in her 3 races. So she's faced a lot better, and now she drops down. In her last start, I thought she ran a really good third. She was kind of a step slow. She got squeezed. She was in between, but she moved up inside. She was 5th. She was in a little bit of traffic, and then she moved all the way up to 2nd before tiring. That was her first start of the year, and that was her first start since November. Now she'll be more fit. Jose Guerrero is one of the best jockeys at Louisiana Downs, jumps aboard. He's very good at getting horses to show more speed. She will add the blinkers, and this barn has been very, very hot to start the meet. They've won with 6 of their first 11 to start the meet. Lots of positives here. She faced so much better horses, like a horse in it like Cotton Candy Annie, who came back to win their next start and is already a 3-time winner. And, the horse that she lost to in her second start was a horse named Taxed. Taxed actually won the Black-Eyed Susan. This is a graded stakes winner. There were 3 next out winners in that race. Just a lot of things that I look for as a handicapper that look positive for Lexington Diamond. Race 1 on Saturday at Louisiana Downs. Best of luck.
Please make sure you give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me, Gino B. Great dude, knows his stuff. He has a podcast that comes out twice a week, once on Monday, once on Friday. I am on his podcast during the NFL and NBA and college basketball season. Now, without further ado, let's bring on the special guest this week, the host of the notorious OTB podcast, Chase, aka the Wolf of Oaklawn. Chase, how you doing today, my man?
Man, I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Uncle Rico. I always love being able to hang out here, chat.
I love it when you come on. Got a lot of positive feedback when you're on right after the Derby. So I thought I'd have you on right after the Preakness. We talked a little Preakness. We have a big announcement about college football that pertains to you, myself, and Jim. We'll get into that shortly. But before that, I do want to say congratulations to you. Our boy has merch, guys. Our boy,
I'm so excited about this, man.
Merch. You got t-shirt, hoodies, and coffee cup mugs for the notorious OTB podcast. You can get this at store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com/collections/notorious-OTB. I am going to order myself one of these coffee mugs, and it is going to be my new walking mug with bourbon in it. How does that make you feel?
I like it. Pretty good. Pretty good. I like to go with the incognito coffee mug with 9 ounces of Kahlua in it.
That way your neighbors don't know you're drinking. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, oh, he's just having some coffee. You know, so that way you don't get weird looks at 9 a.m. in the morning. You know, like,
yeah,
it's 5 o'clock somewhere, my friend.
They're the ones who go through reality without any sort of like alteration to it. They're the weird ones.
I mean, if you're not drinking at 9 a.m., I mean, there's something wrong with you in my eyes.
Right.
But that's not here or there. Obviously, Belmont last weekend. What was the main thing you learned from the race?
One, I think it's impossible to not rely on the very easy takeaway of Arcangelo is going to be freakishly good. He's very lightly raced. He ran an incredible Peter Pan. That was actually, if you looked at the thoroughgraphs, a better race and a better performance than all the other horses heading into the Belmont. With that pedigree, the way that horse looks running, if he comes out of this well and runs back pretty well, like that could be, a monster. The other takeaway is that this 3-year-old crop that went through the Triple Crown season and all the Triple Crown races, it wasn't the best. There was no real standout stars or anything. There are some horses I'm really interested to see how they develop, later into the summer through like Saratoga and Del Mar and everything. But we just kind of have to wait and see. I don't think anyone's really kind of asserted themselves as like a 3-year-old like champion by any means.
Now is Castellanos kind of reassertive himself as the dude winning these 2 back-to-back with the Preakness in the Belmont?
I'll tell you what, starting last year at Saratoga, we've had Javier Castellanos, we like to call him JJ. Like we've had a JJ like renaissance. He's been riding like really aggressively. He's been making the right decisions. Like he's just kind of, he might just be like in his prime right now. He's an older guy. Yeah. Just kind of everything finally hitting right.
Cool Kev says, what's up, Chase? What up, Eric? What up, Cool Kev? Bobby, 2 fills. That's all I just says. It just says 2 fills. Can the Nuggets repeat? I say no. I say no.
I think the West is really tough. It's going to be really tough for one team to definitively say that they'll come out of the West next season. Like it's going to depend on who gets injured in that conference.
Nuggets, nice call, my man, in those futures. I need to tout myself, dude. I hit the Nuggets 20-1. I hit Murray to have the most assists in the series, 42-1. And then I had Joker. I was so pissed off. I had Joker 20-1 to outscore Butler in every single game.
Right.
But son of a bitch. Butler outscored him by 2 points in game 4. 2 points. 2 points.
Man.
But I can't complain. Castellanos making up for lost time. Basically it. Yeah. Does Arcangelo, where does he point to next? Travers?
Yeah, you're going to see Arcangelo go to Saratoga next. It sounds, from everything that I've read, from what Jenna Antonucci had to say after the win, after her interviews, it sounded like they're going for the Travers by way of the Jim Dandy at Saratoga. So it will be Jim Dandy to prep, Saratoga for the Travers for the big race.
Now, I know you said this crop of 3-year-olds is kind of a little down compared to past years, but I also kind of feel that this Breeders' Cup Classic, is shaping up to be an interesting field. You got Forte, you got 2 fills, you got Arcangelo, the 3-year-olds, you have some interesting 4-year-olds. I mean, like, I know there's no real future prices out there, and they'll start to come out within the next couple of weeks. Is there any horse like in the 3-year-old, 4-year-old crop like you're kind of looking at that could kind of be an interesting one?
I think there are 2 older ones that I think are interesting that might be worth a look, because when you're thinking about the Breeders' Cup Classic, it's really pretty much, it's pretty important to pick an older horse. These 3-year-old horses, except for like a couple, don't really fare well in the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's usually the older, more mature horses. So in that spirit, one that I'd really kind of take a look at is Art Collector. I actually thought the Art Collector might be retired, but when I looked, it's just that they have a stud agreement for where he's going to stand after he retires from racing. He ran a really impressive Pegasus World Cup. It was a horse I literally kind of forgot was around, but was on the Derby trail when it was a 3-year-old. Came back a little bit better, kind of started to shine later as a 4-year-old, especially with that Pegasus win. I think if the horse can kind of keep training up, then it could be a lot to handle as an older horse racing against younger horses in the Breeders' Cup Classic. The other one is Taiba. It's a Bob Baffert horse, but what I think is really interesting about Taiba didn't really win any of the big races, but Taiba is a gun runner sired horse. And if you remember anything about Gunrunner was a horse that showed a little bit of a 3-year-old promise, kind of knocked around, didn't really do anything, but really matured very well into a 4-year-old horse and went on a run. If Taiba's anything like his father, Gunrunner, with Bob Baffert, I could see a strong case for Taiba maybe doing it. The other one that's kind of a buyer beware is Cody's Wish. They've kind of dedicated Cody to a mile. I kind of want to see what that horse can do because he's got, Curlin on the top side of the pedigree, should be able to stretch out. It's got all the talent in the world, and it's not really a very talented classic distance older horse division. But if you bet the future, there's always the chance that the horse drops out and goes to the Breeders' Cup Mile instead.
Pistons T, yeah, I'm rocking my Motor City boys today. Motor City, draft's right around the corner. Got to line up those future bets to just make the playoffs. So, got new hope, new season. Monty was introduced today. Everyone was there, but Bodadovich. So, my Pistons could make some noise next year. Keywords could. Now we're going to shift over to our takeaways. This is where Chase and I just have a hot takeaway, whatever it be from the weekend, last couple of days. Chase, what is your takeaway, my friend?
The NBA playoffs last entirely too long. You know why? After game 1, I think it was pretty well asserted that Denver was a way better team and they were going to win this. Like, why did we have to play 5 games to do that? Like, I understand best of 4 and everything, but I feel like on the eyeball test, we could have just mercy ruled that.
See, because this is my takeaway. We've had 6 different champions in the NBA in a row. It's the last 6 years, 6 different champions. And I love it. To me, the product is better than everyone knew it was going to be the Warriors or the Cavs. Remember that 3-year stretch, 4-year stretch, whatever? Everyone knew Warriors, Cavs. Playoffs were up. I hated it. Is the season too long? Yeah, the season's too long. Is there tanking? Yeah, there's tanking. Is the in-season tournament, which is just a pure money grab, probably going to suck? Yeah. But the last 2 months for me was freaking phenomenal basketball. I absolutely loved it. And I see a team that I'm intrigued by in the futures market. Are you ready for it, Big Dog? They're 85-1.
Okay.
They're 85-1. You ready to lay it on you?
Please say the Pelicans.
The Oklahoma City Thunder at 85-1. They're getting Chet back. He's going to be the rim protector. He's put on a ton of muscle. He can stretch the floor. He's going to make the bigger centers uncomfortable coming away from the rim. He's going to open up stuff for Giddey and Gilgeous-Alexander to get to the rim. And I'm just excited to see this next step from Gilgeous-Alexander. He keeps on moving up. He could easily be a top 8 player in the league next year. I think at 85-1, this is a huge price. And we saw with the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies made it into the play-in tournament. They ended up winning the play-in, got in, played the Jazz, lost. And then that next year, that's when they were the top seed.
Right.
I think we could see the same thing from the Thunder. I'm seeing 85-1 when I can get 85-1 at them and I could easily hedge out. Like if I get them 85-1 and they're the 1 seed, there's going to be so many hedging opportunities to make some money. So give me the Thunder 85-1. And also,
didn't they draft 2 Jalen Williamses last year?
They did. And the dude from Santa Clara is legit, dude.
The dude from Arkansas is legit too. That's my boy.
He's good.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I just threw that in there.
That tripped me out the first time I watched a Thunder game last year, and I was like, "Oh, it's Jay." I was like, "That is Jalen Williams," but that's not mine. What the?
Chase and I do have a big announcement to make. as you know, last year, Jim and I did a show called the College Football Tailgate, where it was at the beginning of the week. We would look back at the previous week's games, any early lines, give some thoughts, and then on Saturday morning, we'd go live. We'd go through all the games. We tell you the bets. Jim bet a lot more games than I did. I was very selective with my betting. And then some Thursday standalone games, Monday standalone games. We go live beforehand. Did it for the bowl season. Jim and I have opened up our doors, and we're making it a group of 3. Chase is going to be joining the College Football Tailgate. Really looking forward to that, my man. Really looking forward for you coming on and sharing your wisdom with college football, man. It's going to be a good time, so make sure you guys check that out. It's going to be live, I think we went 9 a.m. Eastern last year. I don't know if it's going to change it, be earlier or later.
Right.
I think it came out, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday is when our show came out. So be on the lookout for that. And also, I can tell you, I haven't bet it yet, but just for my fellow Spartan, Miss El Paso, we're going to be on the Michigan State under 4.5. Get Mel Tucker out. Mel Tucker is done this year. Michigan State, they have the 3rd hardest schedule, dude. 3rd hardest schedule. And coach, God, I've paced Coleman, their wide receiver, who's their best playmaker. They had opposing coaches going to him and being like, look, dude, your quarterback, you have Jalen Reed, who should have been a first-round pick. Because of your bad quarterback play at Michigan State, he's going later. You're costing yourself money. You should just transfer out. Then he transferred out, and then Thorne saw he was transferring, so he decided to transfer. You got Mel Tucker there, who's just running this program into shambles.
Yeah, and it will take like 9 figures roughly to buy him out too.
It's all donor money, though. You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah. It's all donor. So it's not going to be that hard to get it out. But yeah, my first bet in the Big Ten one is going to be Michigan State under 4.5. Michigan State not to win a game. I'm going to even bet that too. Losing to Central Michigan week 1. I'm going to bet that too. I'm just going to be so anti-Michigan State this year.
Well, Jim and I do our thing on the gymnasium where we pick, we don't take the context of the schedule or anything into these picks. We literally just look at the schedule for each week of college football and NFL throughout for over many weeks and just pick heads up who we think wins. Yeah. And I might be on Central Michigan to win that, but we also always pick every directional Mich team to win. So it might have been a system play.
So when Western Michigan and CMU play, is it just, what do you just always pick? Tie?
That the game goes to overtime. You bet that the game goes to overtime.
I'm going to have to find that. I have an old F Western t-shirt somewhere from my days because those are huge rivalries. Because I grew up in Mount Pleasant where CMU is. Absolutely huge rivalries. Dude, so I'm looking at this Michigan State schedule right now. Okay. Central Michigan Friday. Richmond. Okay. You can beat Richmond.
Sure.
Washington, that's a loss. Maryland in September, that's a situational play. That's a loss.
That's tough. At
Iowa, no chance. Bye. Okay. They go at Rutgers before they play Michigan. Okay. At Minnesota, Nebraska at home, at Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State at Ford Field. I mean, that's brutal. 5 wins. That is absolutely 5 wins. Tops. I mean, that is a brutal schedule for MSU. But I mean, I guess if Noah Kim is anything, I mean, maybe you can do something, but they lost their top wide receiver. Offensive line and defensive line should be better. I don't know, man. I think they're going to struggle. I think they're really going to struggle to get in the bowl game. I am completely out on Michigan State this year. I'll probably get disowned by my family. Now we are switching to betting. This is the part of the show where we have 3 bets. I have one college football future it's my second college football future. For my first college football future, you're going to have to tune in next Thursday when Chase, Jim, and myself preview Conference USA. And I have a juicy future I'm going to be giving out 16-1 for Conference USA. Chase, you are the guest. Why don't you kick off by letting everyone know what your first bet is, my friend?
All right, it's going to be USFL. It's week 10. There's a lot on the line. Basically, in the USFL North, both of these games are winning you are in for the playoffs. So I want the Maulers on the money line, straight up against, I believe, New Jersey.
Yeah, against the Generals, dude.
Yep.
You like them?
I really like this Maulers team. For one, they have hands down the best special teams in terms of kicking, accuracy, and kick returns, explosive plays off of kick returns. They can flip a field. They can score touchdowns off of it. And that defense is salty. And the quarterback just keeps getting better.
I like it. I like it. My first one is, Chase, last time around, you said you take the Maulers plus 1,200. If I took that, should I hedge?
I guess it's all really the question of what do you have into it? What do you stand to gain? And what can you get right now and what your hedge would be? I mean, I don't understand necessarily because you have 4 teams that are in a win and you're in basically in the USFL North. So you can't really, are you going to hedge with all other 3 teams?
Whoever wins that game is in, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
both those games, whoever wins is in. That's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you could take the Generals. I'm not a big hedging guy.
I guess so. Yeah. I'm not a big hedge guy also. I think it really just depends on what you have in it. And if you feel like you're going to be at in a bad spot if you lose, or
if you need the money,
$25 for some people, it's all right, whatever,
Yeah. If you need the money, look, you could take the hedge, but I at this point, I wouldn't hedge.
Sure.
Mine. Are you ready for this, dude?
Yeah.
And I do a baseball show with my boy David, and he's probably thrilled I'm not going to be giving this one out. And that's because my boy Brian, the Woo Man Woo, pitches on Friday night. Give me Brian Woo strikeouts over on Friday night. Game 1. This is his 3rd game in the show. Game 1 against the Rangers. Only lasted 2 innings, struck out 4, faced 13 batters. And he struck out 4 of them. 4, faced 13. Then and how many outs do you need to end an inning? 3. 4 out of the 6 outs were strikeouts. And there was 4 times he was up 1-2 or 0-2 and gave up a hit to the Rangers. Then in his second start against the Angels, lasted 4 2/3, struck out 7, facing 18 batters. So in 2 starts, he's faced 31 batters and has struck out 11 of them. That means 35% of the batters he's faced, they're striking out at a 35% rate. Also facing the White Sox. The White Sox on this year have struck out the 9th most times against righties, striking out at a 25% clip. I feel we got one more time with the Woo Man, strikeouts over, and then the market's going to adjust. So give me the youngster, Brian Woo, over Case for Friday. It's probably going to be 4 or 5.5. I'm all about it.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there.
I'm telling you, dude, there's certain guys I just fall in love with, dude. Have it be Michael Porter, Brian Woo, Davis Mills, you know, just certain dudes.
For me, it's I open my heart to and foster unloved college football teams like your Fresno States, your Wyomings,
last year. You know what team just ripped my heart out?
Who's that?
Georgia State.
Georgia
State ripped my heart out. But fun fact, dude, guess who had the most close game losses last year?
Georgia State.
Actually, it was Oklahoma. Georgia State was second. But that means they're due for regression. So I'm going to be all on the line with Georgia State, but we'll get to that later. Chase. Bet 2, we're staying in the USFL. Where are you going, my friend? You going to your team?
I'm gonna go with we got Breakers Gamblers. I can get the Gamblers +4 right now. I really feel like the Breakers like there's something on the line. Like they could technically win the South, but at this point, like it's a 2-team playoff. Like who cares if you win the South or not? But my deal with the Breakers all year has been that they have played with their food and played down to their level of competition, except for like a couple of, just ass beatings where they jump up on a team. Most of the time they kind of just, kind of paw at it for a while until, they either lose or they don't cover. So I actually really like this Gambler team quite a bit. Like I wish they could backdoor themselves into the playoffs a little bit because I think they're kind of fun, and I like Kenji Bahar at quarterback. I don't think that the Breakers are going to necessarily just throttle them, so I'm taking the Gamblers to cover.
What do you think? There's a rumor going around that the USFL was going to make it that you would have a winning record to be in the playoffs.
I think it's Bush League to change it middle of the season. Like this isn't like a thing in gameplay where it's really messing up gameplay where you can change that rule in the middle of the season and fix something. Like this is like very like long term. Like it feels like a little bit of a bait and switch, because I mean, what do you think? Like that might like affect how people like rest people because of like they need to beat this team from the north instead of. So I don't really like it. And I think both of those spring leagues really need to honestly move to like divisionless football, just like 8-team leagues.
I like that idea a lot. MSU ripped my heart out. Yeah, they're going to be bad this year. I'm telling you guys right now, Michigan State is going to be so putrid this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah. I was sorry to just like nod and be like, yeah, because I know that's your team, but like, yeah.
Well, like that's the thing. Like I like bad teams. It's really weird for me when one of my teams does well. Like I really don't know what to do. Like there's 2 NBA teams I like. I like the Pistons and the Bucks. And when the Bucks won it all, I was like really confused. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to do. So it's just I don't know. It's different for me. You know what I mean? It's a little different for me. I'm staying in the USFL, but I took the Maulers plus the 3.5. I look at it like this: buying low, selling high. People still associate the Stars with being a good team. Generals came in there, they put up 37 on the Stars, but let's face it, the Stars do not have that front 7 that the Maulers do. So the Generals were able to exploit it, do a better job with the run game, get some good, and that set up their pass game. I don't think the Generals are going to be able to run the ball, get to that 2nd down and 5, 3rd down and 3. I think they're constantly going to be behind the chains. Thus, they're going to rely on their quarterback play to make plays, and they're playing a backup quarterback. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. And like you said, the Maulers offense has been getting better. I will take the Maulers here plus the 3.5. And I have a future on them too. So hopefully we can get that into the next thing. This could be a situation like the Stars last year where they're just peaking at the right time and able to get into the playoffs. Now, there's going to be many of these college football bets handed out during the tailgate. But Chase and I each have one. And this one's interesting to me. This one is really interesting to me. What's your first one, my friend?
Going to the Big 12, Texas, win total. I'm going under 9.5. I'm getting even money for it too. Like, okay, here's my deal is 10 wins off of from what they did last year. They got to go to Tuscaloosa this year, don't they?
I'm pulling up their schedule right now. Let me get this up.
They do have some strong non-conference games like this. And what's different is Bijan Robinson is gone. I understand Arch Manning is on the roster, but at the same time, he's not even going to. Yeah,
really, really bad. Like I was talking to one NFL scout. I can't say which team he does work for, but dude, he did not have one good thing to say about Mr. Manning, which was kind of interesting. Here we go. Longhorns, Rice, at Alabama, Wyoming, at Baylor, Texas, Oklahoma, bye, at Houston, BYU, K-State, at TCU, at Iowa State, Texas Tech. That's a little bit of a tough schedule.
Yeah, tell me there aren't 3 or 4 losses on that schedule. BYU's not a guaranteed win. BYU's tough to play.
They are the only Big 12 team that faces all the top teams.
Yeah, that's a slam under for me, under 9.5.
So, and I mean, yeah, so that Iowa State game is going to be tough. You know, that Oklahoma game is going to be tough. And who knows, like we've seen it before, this team's coming in with a lot of press. If they lose to Alabama and they lose to Oklahoma, their 2 losses. Yeah, I mean, the ropes could just fall off.
Yeah.
There's certain teams, Chase, that I just fall in love with. And last year is my love affair with the Georgia State Panthers. This year, I'm going to have a love affair with the UTEP Miners. Give me the over 5.5. You ready for this, big dog? Are you ready for this?
I am.
They return Gavin Harrison, 4-year starter. So you're giving me a 4-year starter behind center. 4 years, 4-year starter. They return arguably the best running back in the conference in Deion Hankins. Then they get Tyron Smith back, their top wide receiver who went over 1,000 yards, is back. Now, real quick, Jim and I always talk about we feel that in college football, you need to have that one guy you can throw to that can be the quote unquote chain mover.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel that they have a guy in Smith that over 1,000 yards last year, in line for another good year. They have the best offensive line in the conference, and I can make an argument that they have the best defensive line in the conference. Plus, I'm not done yet, my friend. They only play one team in conference that had a winning record on the road. Put all those together, and you got my love affair with the UTEP Miners. I'm going to be going down to El Paso this year. I can just tell I'm going down to El Paso this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we just
might as well pick up a couple bricks while you're there, you know?
And I mean, if we just kind of look at their schedule, I mean, at Jacksonville State, Incarnate Ward, at Northwestern, at Arizona, UNLV, Louisiana Tech on a Friday night, by FIU, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee State, and Liberty. The thing is with Liberty, now I've done my homework. Liberty's defense is going to be really bad this year. Really bad.
Right.
Middle Tennessee State has some questions on defense. WKU could be tough, but they have a harder schedule. This WKU game could come down to who gets that top seed in the Conference USA. I just kind of feel with how their conference schedule opens up, Louisiana Tech, awful defense, by FIU, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, they could be sitting at they could be 6-2 after their first 8 games with how their schedule lines up. I absolutely love UTEP over 5.5, just with the way their schedule, what they come back, and they're returning 38, 8 starters on offense, 7 starters on defense. You're giving me the over 5.5. Over 5.5? Are you flipping kidding me, dude? I absolutely a 4-year starter. I love it. I absolutely love it. Whoa, Brittany, hello. That's it, my man. You know, I am looking forward to the college football tailgate, the premiere episode of That Bad Boy comes out on Thursday of next week. So make sure to check that out. Chase, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media and when the next episode of the Notorious OTP comes out?
Yeah, you can always find me being abrasive on Twitter at of Oaklawn. The show at Notorious_OTB. I'm on Instagram now at Wolf of Oaklawn. And next pod will be out Wednesday. They come out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just kind of picks for the upcoming day, all the way through Saturday. And we just got the merch like Uncle Rico showed earlier. Thank you for that. So yeah, check it out. And if you like it, leave a review.
And one more thing. I hope Ohio State sucks this year. I hope they go 7. I hope they win 7 games. I can't stand Ohio State. Thanks everyone for tuning in. My boy Greg from Penn State on 3 website is going to be on next week. Him and I are going to talk some Penn State football and some Big Ten football. Make sure to check that out. Thanks for tuning in. Let's make some money. Let's cash some tickets. Until next week, boys and girls.